Good evening to Tony, to my fellow panelists, and ladies and gentlemen from PJ and beyond. Many people ask this question that the EC is set to steal our election, so can we do anything? So I'll try to explain that to put in perspective what is happening and what can we do. And of course, my colleagues, Kevin and others, will give you their viewpoints. Now, this is basically the process that how things is going. It would be very hard for you at the far back to see. What I'll try to show you is that it starts off with EC displaying its notice and the proposal. Then you have 30 days to respond. Now, anyone can file an objection, but only three parties are constitutionally guaranteed to have the right to be heard. That is the state government, local authorities, and any group of 100 or more voters in a constituency that is affected. Then you have the inquiry. For those people who are, for these three group of people, if you submit a valid objection, then EC should call an inquiry to hear you. And then if any of your objection is accepted and EC has to change its plan, it has to display for the second time and go through a second 30 days again, and that's it. That's what is compelled by the Constitution on EC. After that, this is the part that is public participation. Your job is to intervene in the process, to object locally, meaning that you're speaking up from one corner that how it affects you, from your constituency to the larger extent of your state. Then it will go to Parliament. The report would be submitted to the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister would lay the report before Dewan Rakyat with a draft order. The draft order is a simple piece of paper that basically say that let enforce the EC recommendation. What the Constitution says is that the Prime Minister can can present a draft order with or without modification to the recommendations of the EC. Meaning if he wants to, he can actually say, okay, let's enforce it everywhere except Selangor, for example. That's actually possible. Then it will have to be approved by Dewan Rakyat with just half of its members. That means you need 111 votes. Less than that, it cannot be passed. You don't need more than that. All. And then, technically, if that was defeated, the PM can go back and change the draft order, but we know that wouldn't happen, so it becomes laws. Now, this is basically the process that we have. 13 years ago when that took place, it took 8 months. 10 years ago in Sarawak, it took 6 months. The full period is 2 years, meaning that this entire period until the day that the report is submitted would have to be up to September 14, 2018. If this is dragged longer than that, the game is over. The entire process is invalid because there's a time limit on the data that you use, on the electorate numbers that you use. So after that, these two processes that what have happened in the past is that it gets very short because people just protest, and after that you accept the fact. Now things are different because from last redelineation exercise in Sarawak onward, we have people filing into court. So the last round, last year in Sarawak, instead of taking 6 months, it took 11 months. One case. Went all the way to, won in High Court and lost in Court of Appeal and Federal Court, but it dragged it on for 11 months. Now, we have already one case filed in by Maria. There should be 1 or 2 more cases coming up this week. That's tomorrow. And Friday. So this is how things are moving. Let's go into that. Before we go further, I want to go back a little bit back to the basic. Why do we need redelineation? The whole idea of redelineation, This is particularly important because that EC would tell you the story it likes to tell, and many people would buy the story because it sounds reasonable. But we need to go back to the basic. Why do we need redonation? Redonation is to cut a country, a political unit, like a state, into different constituency. You need to meet two requirements. One is to have equal apportionment, because the idea behind democracy is political equality. So the size should be approximately equal. Let's say you have a country with 10 million voters, and you have 100 seats, then one constituency should have around 100,000. That's basically what it means by equal apportionment. Some countries are very rigid, they're going to be very rigid, others are much more lenient, but the general idea is equal apportionment. Then the second thing is representative boundaries. When we talk about, say, we have a fixed figure, 100,000, that doesn't mean that any 100,000 carry the same meaning, right? You don't lump 100,000 strangers together and say, now act as a group of citizens, because people do not have the ties. So when we talk about constituency, we need to talk about local ties. I'll come back to that more. We need, because people are not numbers, so you carry with you your social values, your interests, your networks, and so on. Now, why do we have redonation is because we need to correct distortions. The whole idea having this redone again every 8 or 10 years is because that you have distortion. How did that happen? Because that we have demographic changes. People move, more people register to vote, and some people move away. And also it could be because of problem with a previous redonation exercise. So what do we mean by problem? If it's opposite to equal apportionment, is what we call malapportionment. When you talk about different size, that's malapportionment. When you talk about the boundary affecting the composition, who to be included in the 100,000, who not to, that kind of manipulation is called gerrymandering. Next. So we're looking at, when we talk about the size, people complain and say, why do we have so many constituencies with more than 100,000 voters? That's not fair. Okay? That's not fair, but there's two parts of the source. One is between states, one is within the states. Why is it so different? A little bit of history. Before 1962, everything is decided by mathematics. So a state would claim its shares based on its electorate and population size. And then within the state, it will be divided approximately with a 15% difference allowance. So you can have plus minus 15% deviated from the average. What happened after 1962, and you have further amendments in 63 and 73, in general is that now the numbers of seats allocated to the states is decided by the parliament. So the parliament decides how many seats you have. For now, we have 22. Before 19, that was added in 2003. Before that, it was 17. Now, in that rounds of seat increase, Johor got more seats, both in terms of addition and in total, than Selangor, when its population is less. So seat increase is something very arbitrary. This is different here. Before 62, everything is based on mathematics. Why? Because mathematics is impartial. Mathematical formulas do not carry a membership card for any parties. What about intra-state apportionments for parliamentary seats and all state seats? This is now decided by 13th schedule. It's the last appendix to our federal constitution. It would have this word about approximately equal with a measure of weightage for area and so on. This is about the size. We talk about apportionment. We'll come back to that. And this is very important because it's a very simple mathematical question, but it's something that the EC has failed to understand. Should we have more lawmakers? Some people think that you need to have more lawmakers. It's a very simple answer. I'll give you examples of America. This is America in 1911. It had then 435 members of representative for the House of Representatives. Today it's still 435. despite the population has grown by multiple by triple. In Malaysia, you see the last time in 65 was 144 and today is 222. Why do we actually have increase of seats? Partly because that our the BN system is based on patronage. You have more seats, you have more claim for fundings and so on. And BN does not want to have competition within its party. So having more seats than everyone, you can satisfy everyone. Also partly because that our public delivery system is so bad that we turn to our parliamentarians and state assembly person for all kind of problem. So it built on that, but that's not a normal thing in other countries. Okay, this is how inter-apportionments actually get it worse. It's a bit technical, so I'm not going into detail here. Therefore, you can't talk about seat increase as a simple solution here. Why? Because if you need to give seats, if you can only add 1 seat, the seat should go to Selangor. You can only give 2 seats, both seats go to Selangor. Give 3, all 3 go to Selangor. That trend all the way until 7 seats. If you give increase 8 seats, the 8 go to Terengganu. The 9 go back to Selangor, 10 go back to Selangor. Do you expect that to happen? If you're going to have 10 seats, do you think they will give 9 to Selangor and 1 to Terengganu? It's unlikely, right? But that's why seat increase is a bit dangerous in that sense. Now, we come now to the redelineation process. This is the part that we all get involved. What does the Constitution say? The EC would tell you these fairy tales that we should differentiate constituency into different categories on the degree of urbanness or urbanization. Last round, in 2003, they say you have metropolitan seats, you have urban seats, semi-urban, semi-rural, and rural seats. And each category would have a certain number that you need to fulfill. That is unconstitutional. Why? This is what the Constitution says. The number of electors within each constituency in a state ought to be approximately equal, except that, having regard to the greater difficulty of reaching electors in the country means rural, country districts, and the other disadvantages facing rural constituency, a measure of weightage for area ought to be given to such constituency. There's no such things as classifications by degree. What they say here, in simple terms, is a rule and an exception. It's not a dichotomy. It's an exception and rule. The Malay word is lebih kurang sama banyak. It's a very simple word. That's why I say it's a very simple mathematical question. But the part that gets people confused is a measure of weightage for area. If you recall the whole line that I read just now, it keeps on reminding you about rural constituency. So this phrase has been commonly understood or misunderstood as rural weightage. Meaning that if you live in a rural area, you are entitled, your constituency would be entitled to have less voters than others. Politically speaking, overrepresented. Your votes would have more share. That's the words that we get to understand, we get into our mind, because we never thought of like, what do you mean by a measure of weightage? It sounds very complicated. Weightage means weight. If you measure something, you add something on, is to make it equally heavier than the others that you are comparing. Now, this is the line that was deleted in 1973. It says, to the extent, when you say a measure of weightage for area ought to be given to such constituency, it actually has this too. To the extent that in some cases, a rural constituency may contain as little as 1/2 of the electors of any urban constituency. Okay, in simple English, before 1973, what does it mean is this: within the same states, the constituency should be approximately equal in terms of electorate size. Equal apportionment, that's the rule. Then you have the exception. In the rule means that approximately equal. In the exception is say, in the exception, a half can be considered as approximately equal to 1. That's the maximum. It's not a rule say half all rural constituencies should be that way. Flip it over, if a half is approximately equal to 1, that means 2 is approximately equal to 1, right? Okay. What's the ground for that exception? Area, land mass, the size. Okay, I'll give you an example. In Sarawak, there is a constituency called Ururajang. The size, geographical size, is as huge as entire states of Pahang. There's another seat called Baram. The size is as big as Perak. That's what you mean by size. So for those constituencies, it's unreasonable for you to expect them to have the same number, because then you have to cover even larger than that. That's the argument. What happened in 1973 with the deletion of that line? Before 73, if a constituency, say, is 2.01 times than the other, you can go to court and declare that unconstitutional, because there's a clear line, 2. You cannot exceed it by just a little bit. After 73, and you see that is as old as me, that's how long things have changed. After 1973, you cannot go to court because there's no longer a clear line. Say 0.01 or 0.2 is more than what is acceptable as approximately equal to 1. You no longer have that clear line. But the question is, does that mean the EC has the power to decide any number to be approximately equal to 1? That's a simple question. So if I tell you now, I cannot say exactly 2.1 is not approximately equal to 1. Does that mean that 2.5, 2.3, 3, 4, 5, any number can be approximately equal to 1? Let's look at the number. I'll come back to this. This is the number. Damansara, where this is your new constituency, if nothing changed to the proposal, is supposed to have 150,439. And this is Sabak Remember why we make this comparison and not with Putrajaya? Because Putrajaya is a state by itself. We are talking about within the same state. We are talking in constitutional term. All your objections have to be grounded on our constitution. So the question to ask is that, is 150,439 approximately equal to 37,112? Anyone say yes? Yes or no? No. Because if you're going to simplify it, this, it will become 4.05. Is 4.05 approximately equal to 1? And if this is no, what about this? This is your state. The largest one is Subang Jaya, 66,059. The smallest one is 15,033 in Sungai Ayatawa, which is also located in Sabak Benam. So, is 66,000 approximately equal to 15,000? That's about 4.38. These are the simple questions we need to challenge EC for. If nothing else, these are the questions we need to challenge EC for, because in the past, EC got away. EC simply got away because few people would take them so seriously. Most of us get conned by them. We need to challenge, and people would ask and say, no, but so what? Why should EC listen to you? Why should you expect that EC has a sense of shame? The EC chairman may tell his granddaughter and say, yes, 4 is approximately equal to 1. So what? The thing is that if EC is going to rule against your objection, we need to take them to court. But we can't take them to court, at least for now. It's not going to be so easy unless you're going to file your objection first. So that's why we need you to file objection. What happens if we go to court? do you think the judge would rule and say, yes, 4 is approximately equal to 1? Hard to say. Exactly hard to say. But if any judge has the cheeks to say that we should let their name go down into history, right? They should be permanently remembered. Now, just now I say, when you want to look at exception, you need to consider the basis of area size. This is actually shown in the report to the Parliament at the end of the day. When this entire process is done with, when the EC tables is report to the Parliament, it would have one part that tell you how big is the size. Does it tell you now? Do you know what's the size of Damansara? In terms of area size, do you know it? You know what's the number of the electors? 150,000. But you do not know how many square kilometers your constituency cover, right? You do not know anything else. The same area size of any constituency in the States, or for that matter, in any part of Malaysia. Is that right? Is that correct for the EC to do so? It's the same process. The parliaments need all this information to approve its proposal. In the same process now that you are dealing with, you are supposed to intervene locally before the parliament is to approve nationally. If the parliament needs this information to judge, don't you need the same information to judge? That's the information that is deprived from us. We do not have that. That's the reason why Maria, where's Maria? That's the reason why Maria is filing in court. Maria is demanding for this piece of information to be given to us. And until that piece of information to be given to us, you cannot start your 30 days. Would you agree? So let's pray hard that we get it on Friday. So I'll move forward. Now, even though we do not have the figure of the area, you can still use your eyes to judge. This is Sabak Benam, 15,000. See that? This is your Damansara Utama. Of course, this is slightly larger. But if you say this, the size of this qualify Sabak Benam to have only, not 15,000, to have only 37,000. What about this? This is Ulu Selangor. This is much larger than Sabak Benam, right? If this is only 37,000, how many people you should have it here? 15? This area, this constituency, has 86,000. If this constituency this big can have 86,000, which is slightly smaller than the state average, how can Sabak Benam has 37,000? There's no ground. This entire process is unconstitutional. The proposal itself has gone beyond common sense. Unless your eyes tell you this is larger than this. Then, okay, we can accept it. Unless your common sense tell you 4.05 is actually approximately equal to 1. Then we can accept it. Otherwise, it's a matter of decency. How do you hold this? How can people in public office as important as the Election Commission dare to tell us and the rest of the country and the world that 4.05 is approximately equal to 1? Now, the second part of the argument that we need to frame, the first part is about size. The second part is about maintenance of local ties. So when you object, you cannot, I've seen some objection letter that say, this area is a stronghold of X party. You removing it is unfair to us, therefore we object. EC would be very happy to receive that kind of objection because they can just throw it into dustbin. EC has no duty to ensure you keep your stronghold. That's your matter. EC job rightly is not to ensure any party to be in power. And to make sure that election is carried out freely and fairly. So what really would matter is about maintenance of local ties. When we want to go beyond the science, we look at, say, where do these people come from? Who share my parliamentarian? So let's say you're in PJ Utara. Who should be in PJ Utara to share Tony Phua or whoever going to replace him? If you're in Sedang, who is going to share Kian Ming? That's the question. Is go back what Constitution say is maintenance of local ties. It's more subjective than malapportionment because you cannot calculate an average and then measure the deviation from average. But it's not entirely arbitrary. We can at least identify 3 types of gerrymandering, and I'm saying that identifying all this because methodologically we need to be very rigorous to stand a chance to challenge them in court. Very briefly, when we talk about local ties, there are some boundaries that's actually objective, like your local authorities. And your local authorities play an important part in your life because it decides what assessment rates you pay, how late business can run, whether you can keep dog in your house and all those things, right? So you are tied to each other by your local authorities. That's one line. So as far as possible, this boundary should be respected, but you can see this is just Klang. You can see the color represents different authority, and the line represents electoral boundary. You can see how it was cut. This is type 1. Then even within the same local authorities, you simply cannot lump people together and say you are one constituency. I'll give you this type 2 example. This is Pulau Ketam, and this is mainland. This is actually one constituency. I'll come back to that very quickly. Third one is that when your neighborhood is partitioned by electoral boundary. Now, let's look at the example. If you have not raised any objection, you can consider raise them. I'll just show you just about 1/3 of what I have shown. I share some more on my Facebook. I'm going to put more up tonight. What do you mean by spanning across local authority? This is Sungai Buloh. Anyone going to be in Sungai Buloh? Sungai Buloh is a super constituency in that sense. A big part of it is in Shah Alam. A part of it is in PJ. Then a bit of it is in Selayang. Another bit is in Sekolah Selangor. Very good job, right? So this is what you mean by local ties, maintenance of local ties. They lump all of you together and say, well, your parliamentarian is a superman or superwoman. He or she would do a good job in representing you, dealing with all kinds of problems. And this is what I mean by arbitrary combinations of community. This, the green color, is Selat Klang. This entire constituency, proposed constituency, would have about 31,000 voters. 28,000 are here. They are basically living in Bandar, Sultan Sulaiman, Kampung Raja Uda, and all those areas. This is basically just suburb and industrial area. 3,000 people live in Pulau Ketam. Is there any link between them? No. These people would actually go to Port Klang, and they would have more ties with Port Klang. They should have rightly been included in Port Klang, but they were sent to Selat Klang. Okay, this is partitioning of local authorities. This is Klang. Can you see both Bandar Botanic? Bandar Botanic? They are cut into two. The part of it is Kota Alam Shah, part of it is Sri Andalas. And if you look at the larger map, Sri Andalas is one circle surrounding Kota Alam Shah. Okay, this is Banting. This is quite interesting. Okay, this seed, can you see, it's almost like a monster. I'm not sure whether it looks like any Pokemon. Okay, it covered two townships. This is Banting and this is Jinjarom. You look carefully how the boundary is drawn. It's not actually cover entire area. Part of Banting is in Morik. Part of Jinjalong is in Sinjankang. This is Kampung Baru, Kampung Jinjalong. Part of it is in Morik. This is what we mean by violations of local ties. It's unconstitutional. This is Kajang. It's going to soon be a Kian seat because this is going into his. This, not confirmed yet. If we fight enough, then it will not be. Okay? Okay, you know what Kajang is? This is Kajang. The larger part of it, this is the Kajang State Constituency. Where does it start? It starts at half of Ululangat. Go all the way down until Kajang. This is Kajang Town. This is Kajang Town. Kajang Town is split into three parts. A big part of it is in Kajang State Constituency. The neighbor goes to Balakong. Sungai Chua would be in Balakong. You go a bit south, the area near to Bangi, all this becomes Sungai Ramai. This is local ties. I mean, we all use our common sense would say this is a violation of local ties. AC doesn't seem to think that that's an issue. This is Klang again. This is Bandar Maran. If your eyesight is super good, you will be able to see Jalan Bandar Maran here. So this area is Bandar Maran. Bandar Maran, a big part of it is not voting in Bandar Maran. They are voting in Pelabuhan Klang. Next door is the Kota Ramshar. Just now remember that where Bandar Botanic is cut into two. And okay, this is close up for Balakong. You see, this is Balakong. This is your what's that? The theme park. Mines Wonderland. Sorry, this is your Mines Wonderland. This is actually where the local authority boundary is. This Balakong starts from here, go down here, and then go down here to Sungai Chua. But in between, you have one parts that come out. And you look carefully, if you zoom in, all these are actually Google Earth photos, if you can see. If you zoom in, you'll find that it don't cut clearly, but there's arbitrary cut through houses. Our neighborhood, I'm not talking about they do size houses into two, but yeah, close to. And this is, this is interesting. This is Kian Ming's favorite, Kuala Kubu Baru. And also Misha one as well. Okay, now if you can see, this is Pekan Batangkali. This is the state constituency boundary. On this side is Batangkali. On that side is Kuala Kubu Baru, KKB. This town is cut into two. A part of people in Batangkali are going to vote in Kuala Kubu Baru. And this is Uluyam Lama. Again, you can see that it's cut the town into half. And this is Uluyam Baru. Same thing. This is Ampang. Can you see the sharp corner? Okay, and you see this part? I just go in and cut. And this is PJ Old Town. This is KL. The white on the right side of the white line is KL. Left is Selangor. This entire place is Petaling Jaya. Used to be your twin PJ Selatan. This is Bukit Gasing. This is your Old Town. This is Jalan Osman. Your Old Town get cut into two. This is section 3 and 4. By right, you should have joined them and put them all together in Bukit Gasing. But this part is joined into Taman Medan. Taman Medan, yeah. So what can you do? I mean, we have 2 days more to go. So everyone give yourself a big hand for signing up and, object. If we allow this constituency redelineation or redelimitation proposal to get through without changes, it would basically fix our politics for 10 years. Because once it's passed, it takes another 8 years before you can start the process unless you change the number of seats. And that process can take as long as 2 years. So this is the battle before us. We have about 48 hours, less than 48 hours. Because you have to count everything closed at 5, right? So we have about 45 hours left. If we need to reach out to as many people as possible, anywhere, not just in PJ Utara, not just in your Damansara, not just in Selangor, anywhere except Sarawak, Putrajaya, and Labuan. They're not touched. Everywhere else, ask people to file in. Because we need to file in if there's something wrong. Only then when you get into the inquiry process, you get rejected by the EC, then only you can file for litigation. If you don't do it now, there are very limited rooms that we can challenge it legally. We have already one case exploited by Maria to seize the opportunity to challenge it. But most of us, we would have to go through on this part. So that's my opening to this. I'm sure my colleagues will have more interesting things to say. Thank you.